YouTube, Awesome Writer here. Welcome to my review for Mighty Morphin Issue 11. So this issue is picking up right after the big Lord Zedd origin issue. Oddly enough, lots of Lord Zeph's his brother. My name is Zeph. Lots of Lord Zedd stuff going on between the comic and the show, kind of interesting. So we actually do pick up right where we left off, which is kind of nice. Like, we don't spend an entire half issue or issue with more Lord Zedd stuff, but it's kind of nice to get a little epilogue off of that from last week. I kind of wish we had gotten that from the Power Rangers one with the cat thing, but I'll get to that later in the next review for Power Rangers issue 11. But regardless, we just kind of pick up where Zardis took Zorfram, and he's like, look, we should contact Zordon after this, because he's like in with the High Council now. He's the new regional manager of Dunder Mifflin Eltar. And he's like, no, to hell with Zordon. He obviously did this to me so that he could betray me. So I guess Zeddfram's logic is that Zordon knew that this would happen to him, and that he wanted it to happen, so he had him take the pill knowing he would turn into one of the pale creatures. Wait, that's the wrong show. He thought that Zordon knew that this would happen so that he could take his job. And then, you know, what happened to him, you know, the physical trauma just made that seem more real and made him more psychotic about it. Like, I definitely don't feel like that was Zordon's angle. I mean, I know it's not, but I feel like it was a little bit of a stretch, but I guess given what he's been through, it makes sense. I feel like it would have made maybe a little more sense to me if he thought instead of being mad like, oh, Zordon just wanted my job, so he, you know, did this to me, maybe he would just be mad at Zordon's ignorance, that Zordon would think that you could use the Zeo Crystal like that. And regardless, he has reason to be mad at Zordon. It sets up that rivalry. We might get more on that later, a little bit, fleshing that out, who knows. But he basically, you know, says Zorfram is dead. He doesn't take the name Lord Zedd yet. I'm hoping we see that in a future little flashback, because I'd love to see, not necessarily an entire issue, but maybe a couple other little cut-ins, just like we did before on most of the issues, to sort of slowly continue to see the origins of him. But then after that, we're back to present day. There's a couple nice scenes with Billy, with Rocky, Adam, and Aisha, which I thought were really nice, where they basically just forgive him and say that they're not upset with him, which I thought was just a nice scene in general for Billy, but it was nice to see them get screen time. I've mentioned this numerous times before, but I feel that ever since they've been introduced, Rocky, Adam, and Aisha really have gotten the shaft in terms of like focus and development, which is unfortunate. I know there's lots of big things going on, but one of my favorite things about the comics has always been that they've given these one-dimensional cardboard characters from the show actual character, and that was really one of the things that hooked me early on, was seeing the original 5, 6 get all this development and feel so fleshed out. And I was really excited to get Rocky and Adam and Aisha in there back when, you know, we didn't have them yet, to see them develop that, and we've only gotten just these tiny little things. They feel like B characters. Like, Bulk and Skull are hardly ever on, and they feel like B characters compared to them. But they had a nice scene there, and he had a nice scene with Grace, too, where she basically said, you know, I don't know what's going to happen with Zordon, but you always have a place here. I'm definitely interested to see what happens there with Billy. I know some people think that he might leave and join the Omegas or something. I don't know. There's a lot going on with the Omegas right now, too, so I think that's interesting, especially since, you know, timelines changed and everything's fair game, basically. And then, basically, they're trying to rescue Candace, or whatever her Eltarian name is, Zeph, or whatever. And so they're coming up with a plan, and Zardis is there, and he's like, look, I can give you help, and he has this, like, elite Eltar force, and they're, like, kind of doing one of those almost like heist scenes where they envision what's going to happen, and they show like the Rangers and the Guardians working together to save him and defeat Zedd, and then they kind of get acquainted, and then as soon as they're back on the ship, they start trash talking him. They're like, wow, what about those Mighty Morphin losers, am I right? Except for one of them that thinks Adam's cute. But it just basically shows that they're all corrupt, they're all in on it, it's not just Zardis. And then Candace reveals to have escaped, and she tries to assassinate Zardis, and you know, Zordon knew about it. And we get a little bit more detail about Zardis' motives. He basically sounds like Zod. He's like, everything I do for Krypton. That was the sole purpose for which I was created. I will find him! He's got this crystal, which you'll learn more about in Power Rangers issue 11, and she foils her assassination attempt, basically. But Zordon knew about it, and Zardis comes to Zordon, and he's like, look, I need the power coins. You know, you guys have done great, but for this coming war, we need warriors and not teenagers with attitude. And Zordon's like, it will be done, my lord. But then, it turns out Zordon's not falling for it, and he tells the Rangers that the Eltar Wars are coming. And that was interesting. I think that there was 2 scenes in this that I really liked, because it's the most I've liked Zordon in a good long time, that he wasn't just subservient and close-minded, and I liked the twist that he actually was ready to fight Eltar and not be in denial about it. And also I thought there was kind of a nice, interesting scene between Tommy and Zardus where I don't know if Zardus in any way like wants to recruit Tommy as well. Maybe I was reading too much into it, but he was talking about like just let me know if you need any replacements. But also when he was talking about the rogue Green Ranger, Tommy said like, well, I don't know. I mean, he has been helpful. I thought that was just nice because it seems like Tommy's been really anti-Matt, very close-minded. I feel like Tommy's just been an extension of Zordon's dogma. Not to mention him just kind of having a hatred for Matt because of the whole Kim situation. So it was kind of nice to actually see him be a bit balanced about him in a conversation. I also like too that they brought up in a conversation with Grace and Billy about Grace thinking that Zordon would always take Eltar's side, and Matt also bringing up that, like, of course Zordon doesn't know what's best for Earth because he's not from Earth, and then Zordon did wind up doing the right thing so far, so I thought that was kind of nice to tie that all together. And I thought it was a really solid issue. It kind of felt like a more meaty setup issue, like it's setting up for something bigger, but I also felt like we got a lot of big developments and hints at other things, and some nice character moments. So I have a solid issue. I would give it a 3 out of 5, but what do you guys think about the latest developments? Let me know in the comments as always. Until next time, like, comment, subscribe, and climb the steps and ring that bell so you get notifications from our videos. Dawson Ryder, signing out.